Hello everyone, this is Jessica Brigden of Jess B Creative Cardiology, and I'm here today to show you how to make this cute little bird cage from the Bird Ballad product suite from Stampin Up. So I had the privilege of presenting the Bird Ballad, that's a mouthful, the Bird Ballad product suite at Stampin Up's Onstage local event in Atlantic City, New Jersey, back in March 2019. And I am finally getting around to completing my video tutorial for this little 3D bird cage. So we are using, as I said, the Bird Ballad product suite. So I have the Free as a Bird stamp set here, and then just a little sampler here of the gorgeous Bird Ballad Designer Series paper. And so in particular, we're going to use the bird image sheet. So this is the full sheet of Designer Series paper, and from this you are able to fussy cut, or actually cut out with your paper snips, 22 birds, images of birds, sets, trios, all of that. You're able to get all of those out of each sheet of the Designer Series paper there. So what I like to do is keep them all in a little cello envelope. These are Stampin' Up's medium clear envelopes, and they work great for all of your little cut pieces for until you're ready to use them on a project. So for the bird cage project, you want to make sure that you have fussy cut 2 sets of birds. I'm going to pop this through here. You want birds that are actually facing the opposite direction, so that when you adhere them together, they match up. So from this particular sheet of paper, on this project, I used this little bird here, as well as this little bird right up here. And there's actually 2 sets of those, I believe, on each sheet of paper. But for project purposes here, I've also have pulled out a couple of other sets that would work. So again, you want birds that are facing opposite directions, so that when you pair them up, they line up fairly well, and then you can snip off the excess. So that pair might work, as well as these little yellow birds here, that they are facing the opposite directions. And then when put together, the beaks match up and some of the flowers, and then we can just snip off some of the excess. So to get started, keep those together, I have created a template here. So for this little bird cage, you need 3 strips of paper that are 1/2 inch by 8.5, so 1, 2, 3. You need a sheet that is 3/4 of an inch by 8.5. That's your base. So the 3 strips will be used as the top, and then you need a base strip, and then we'll have a decorative piece of Designer Series paper that's 3.25 by 9. So just a little bit longer, because you want to hide the base and then be able to decorate it just a little bit there. So you want a little overlap. And then a little topper. I did create a loop. You want to be able to pick up your bird cage or even hang it. And so you need a piece that is 1/2 inch by 3 inch, as well as some extra ribbon. Okay, so this is the template that you will need. All right, so I've gone ahead and pre-cut my strips. And it is helpful to have your foam mat here, something that you can stab into for use with your paper piercer. And in this case, I'm using the piercing end of my multi-purpose tool. So we're going to line up those 3 1/2 inch by 8.5 inch pieces. All right, so go ahead and stack those. And then, okay, if you were exact, if you had a ruler sheet here, you could exactly mark the middle. But since I don't have my ruler handy, I'm just gonna go ahead and pierce that in the center. So you go all the way through those 3 sheets, okay? And then what you'll do is you'll take a brad to secure those in the center, as I have done. Oops, I'll get it out of the way here. So you'll secure those 3 pieces with a brad that's going to open up through the center. And you'll do the same there with the little loop. So let me show you what I did. You will need your tear and tape adhesive. You want a super strong adhesive for this. Snail mono adhesive is not strong enough, and the liquid glue does not dry quick enough. So I just put a little bit of the tear and tape on the end. This is the loop piece. So we'll just get that ready to go here. And then you're going to loop it up and make sure that it's covered, okay? And then you'll actually pierce this through. So I don't recommend piercing it towards yourself. You don't want to stab yourself, but actually look right down where they've overlapped, okay? And then pierce that, because then the brad will go through all 3 layers. So you have these stacked, and then your loop right on top, and then your brad will pierce right through all 3 of those, and that way you can spread out. Somehow, as I was traveling here and preparing these supplies to bring with me, I left my brads at home, but you can get the idea that with the brad secure, you can then spread these out evenly, okay? So they're about equal distance from each other, and that brad will keep those in place. All right, so we're going to set that aside. Then you're going to take your base piece here that is 3/4 of an inch by 8.5. Okay, and we're going to put a little bit of sticky strip again on the end of this. All right, because this will loop together like that. But I also want to put a piece here along the outside, just so we have a little bit extra to secure those cage pieces with. Okay, so I'm going to do this first. Take this piece off and then loop that around. Okay, so you have a little bit of an overlap, just a little bit there. And then we'll take this piece off. All right, so you've got your, the good thing with paper here is that it does bend a little bit, so you can mold the shape. All right, so we've got our pieces, and we're going to start, and we're going to do the opposite sides. Okay, so just go right down. All right, it would help if I had them, but you do want to go directly. You can kind of see how that takes place. So directly across from each other. So that would line up. And you don't want to go any lower. You just want right at the base. All right, so you're not quite going, you're not making quarters, you're actually doing thirds here. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and then the third piece fills in that extra gap. All right, looping them over. Okay, so we're equal all the way around. Now we're going to take our piece of designer series paper, and I liked the stripes on this, so I cut them so that they would be vertical here. And we're going to put a piece of sticky strip all the way across the back side, okay, as well as a little piece here on the front, just on the end. All right, so let me peel that off. So this way we've sandwiched the little bars in between, make it extra secure. So we're gonna go ahead and start right where that one, right where the finished piece overlapped. All right, so it's cut exactly the same. So I'll just go right around and secure those in between. So you do need to, this is a patience project here. It will take just a little bit of time, but we don't want these to fall apart. They make a really cute projects for perhaps a retreat or a wedding event. All right, so I see I put that actually on the wrong side. It should have been here. So sometimes, you know, you say, there we go. So I ended up, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get out of the video. So I have my piece secured there. This will overlap, and then all of the pieces where it meets together all in the same spot. And we're gonna hide that little bit with some decorative flowers. We've got some of the little trinkets here, and then nobody will even know that it's all kind of come together at this point. Okay, so we can see how our bird cage is starting to take shape. Now we need to add our birds. So like I said, you do need a couple of birds that that match up easily. So there's a few different pairs here. So I'm gonna do this one, and you'll need a little bit of twine, something thin, because you want it to look like your birds are floating there in the cage, and you really can't see. I've used that real thin metallic thread in there. So whatever color you use, it really doesn't matter, but I'm gonna flip these birds around. I'm gonna take a little bit of a loop here of the metallic thread. It is very hard to see. And then I'm gonna just knot that with my finger. Oops. Okay, so you're gonna knot it. Okay, that's the intent, is to knot it here and then pull it tight so you have a little bit of room. Can you see that there? Okay, so this knot with the extra, we're gonna trim that off. That's going to be hidden in our birds, and we'll secure that right there in the center. And we'll use a couple of dimensionals on this. So I do want them to hang upright. So I'm going to put this right there, tack that right in the middle. And then I'm going to use a little extra, because I do want these birds to stay together here. Okay, so let's just put a couple, we'll put a couple on and peel off the tabs. All right, then we'll gently position our other set of birds over the top. I'm gonna make sure the beaks and the heads match up there, and it looks like we did a pretty good job. A little bit here that needs to be snipped off that doesn't quite match, and the stem extends a little bit there, so I'm gonna just gently snip that off and clear here. All right, so these flowers, I'm gonna just go in like this. Okay, so just a little bit of extra got snipped, but otherwise they look pretty good. Okay, so then what we'll do with those, then you can position this in here and take the loop from your twine. Oops, make sure it's, there we go, in there correctly. And that will arrange over the prongs of the brad that you use to secure it. So let me show you on this one. So if I kind of deconstruct this a little bit, you can see how I positioned, oops, get my fingers out of the way, this little bit of twine here. Oops, I'll just put it upside down. Okay, so you can see that. So that little bit of twine is secured around the ends of the brad, and that's all that, I just kind of knotted it over there. That's all that keeps that in place. All right, so you just want to make sure your birds actually fit there through the cage. All right, so then we've got just a little bit of some flowers here. We'll put a dimensional on the back of that. Save that for later. It is nice to use just a little bit of extra sticky strip. We want to have a nice decorative border on here. So as you can see, I put some of that pretty lace trim all the way around. So again, that's where your sticky strip comes in handy there. So we'll put this all the way around. I love that Terra tape, so much easier than the old sticky strip. Okay. Go ahead and secure it. Burnish it a little bit with your thumb. And then, okay, then once you catch it, it should peel right off for you. And then we'll start to put the pretty ribbon around. And the nice thing is it really doesn't stick out through the lace there. So just go all the way around. And then we'll trim that with our snips, maybe overlap by a scallop there. And then we'll use that dimensional. Here I am, make a mess no matter what I do. All right, so I want these, kind of hold that in place and hide my gathers. So I'm gonna stick that right together like that. So perfect. And then I'll take one of the little trinkets here. And I thought the key was cute because the key to unlock the cage. So I've got some of the linen thread. So we'll loop that. That's perfectly sized to poke right through there. And give yourself enough to actually make a bow with. So however you like to do that. I think I'll tie a knot here first because I don't want that falling apart. Then I'll make my little loops. Pull it tight, you can always adjust it. Alright, so pull it tight. Okay, make sure it's good and secure. I like my loops to be even. Alright, so keep adjusting till you get it just how you want it. And then we'll trim these off. And alright, so we've got that part, and we'll get our little glue dots ready here. So I'm just going to secure that right behind the knot. Okay, just press it right onto the glue dot. Don't pick the glue dots. Press what you want onto the dot and then peel it off. All right, and then we'll kind of hide it right up in there. Okay, so it looks like it's all together. That way your key is not going anywhere and your knot from your bow will stay tight. Okay, so we've got that. We'll set these aside. All right, for purposes right now, looks like I lost my, somehow I've lost my loop. Oh, here it is. All right, so it would have a brad in there, but for extra security, it's also great to add a glue dot. So once we put that all there together, right on top. Okay. And then, what did I do here? I did a little extra. I wanted some extra fluff at the top, so I actually tied a knot just around the loop. So this is what I did, if you can see here. I like my scallops going in the same direction. So just going to give myself enough length here just to tie a knot right there around the top. Okay. Have the scallops hanging over. And then I've already done, oops, a little lace bow. So this is my toaster tong bow, and if you go back through my my YouTube videos here, I do have a toaster tong bow tutorial. So what I'm going to do is adhere that again with a glue dot, press it right onto the dot, and then peel it off. And then we'll put that right on the top. So we have lots of frill and fluff. This is definitely a girly project. It'd be perfect for a garden party, maybe a tea party, baby shower, bridal shower, any of those things. So we have our little knot finished there on the top. We've got our cages decorated, and then, like I said, we would adhere our brad, but in this case, since I forgot my brad, I'm gonna just adhere the glue dot there. This is why you like to stick things to the dot, because otherwise they stick to your fingers, and well, nobody likes boogie fingers there, so we'll just go get the lace out of the way, stick our dot up there where it's supposed to be. Okay, you might have to adjust the length of your twine. I know this is a little bit of a mess, but then you do eventually have your pretty little birds in the cage there. Okay, so that is the little bird ballad bird cage tutorial. So depending on, you don't want your birds to be too big, so you do want to use the smaller ones, the single ones, or like I said, this little pair of love birds here also works pretty well. Okay, so thank you guys for watching and being so patient as I developed this little bird cage video tutorial here for you. It was so much fun to present these projects and to come up with this, and I was really pleased that you were all so excited to see these. So thank you so much, and I hope you'll tune in again. Bye bye.